Hi, Mary Ashley. Okay, I have pulled up here Unit Assessment Plan Part C. This is the formative assessment. And what we've been learning is that formative assessment is not necessarily for a grade. Very often the formative assessment is guiding your instruction in the middle of the unit, helping you to know, what do the students know? Are there any confusions? And so I looked up your lesson plan, and I remember you're doing the pumpkin life cycle. I hope I'm right. So you have to think of what would be a formative assessment tool that relates to your pumpkin life cycle unit. Okay, and then these are the requirements. You'll actually describe whatever the tool is that you're using or the procedure that you're using. Include an attachment of that tool or a sample, and I'm going to show you a couple. Include any instructions you would give the students, and that's that first part. And then the second part is, what is it you want to know that they know through this formative assessment? What information, what data are you trying to collect? Include the specific instructional objective that this tool is measuring. Okay. So most likely you want to know if they're understanding the stages of the life cycle in the right order. That's what you're checking to make sure if anybody's confused. How will the data be collected? You're probably going to be looking at their answers on the tool. How will that information or data ultimately be used, and who will use it? You're going to be the one who's using that, because you're checking to make sure if there are misconceptions, confusions, if anybody needs to be retaught a part of the lesson. Do they understand that the pumpkin is green before it's orange? Okay. Are there any ways that you would have to modify your instruction or elements or elements on the unit based on the results? So for example, if the students didn't understand that the pumpkin vine has to have a flower bloom before the pumpkin can grow, they might not understand that order of things. And so you see that the students are putting the life cycle in the wrong order, and so you decide to show an additional video or bring in some examples of plants, vines, or something like that. And you would reteach the concept. So how will you use the data that you look at? All right, so that's the assignment. I thought we would just pull up a couple of things. Now I did put in, let me get back out of here, in our content, I listed several different kinds of tools. I think the one that naturally comes to mind is cutting out the pieces of the life cycle and putting them in order, like gluing them, coloring them in order, something like that. But you may decide to use that for your summative. So let's see if there might be, that was week 9. Okay, so this is week 9. I put lots of examples in here of different types of formative assessments. So let's just click on this one. This one has a ton of examples of different tools, because you don't necessarily have to go with the typical glue the life cycle in order. You could come up with some other ones. Let's see. You can do a student conference with your students. You could call a small group up to a table, have conversation to check their understanding. You could have, if there's 6 steps of the life cycle, you could have those pictures on a card, like flashcards. Do a quick 1-minute conference with the student, have them put the cards in order and see if they're able to do that, and then you can check it off on your checklist that they can. Observation, you could walk around with a checklist and see if the students are working with a partner, putting the life cycle steps in order. I can't remember what grade your group is. They could do a journal entry where they're recording. I actually love this idea. Record in their journal everything they've learned about the pumpkin life cycle so far. And then you would review that entry and to see what understanding of the topic they have. That's a possibility depending on their writing skills. You probably have to support that quite a bit. Choral response. This would be something where you're at circle time and the students are sitting around you and you hold up a picture and you might go through the stages again. Or maybe you're reading a book together and you read a line of the book. The pumpkin grows from a seed, and then the students repeat after you, and then you read it together. That's a great idea for your lesson too, for formative, a choral response. So if you just kind of look through these, you might see one that works. Think, pair, share, oral questioning. So those are some examples, and there's a couple other ones I think maybe in week 9. You can look for some other tools, especially if you want to save the like cutting them out and gluing them in the correct spot. Kind of like something like this one. Let's see if it'll pull up here. It went away. But anyway, if you want to save this one here, if you wanted to save this for your summative and do one of those other examples from week 9 as your formative, that might be good, but it's totally up to you. If this helps you or doesn't help you, let me know. And we can just do a phone call or a Zoom and talk about it a little more. All right. Hope all is well. Also, there's a discussion post due next Sunday about grading and your grading philosophy, grading policy. So I wasn't sure if you heard that. I don't think you heard that at the end of class, but it is in the PowerPoint from Wednesday. All right. Thanks.